Next on BYUSN, the Football Power Index has given BYU football a projected number of wins for 2023, and I guarantee fans probably won't like it. How many games do you think BYU should be favored in?
And do we agree with the projected win total? In a word? No.
Welcome to BYU Sports Nation, presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere. It is Thursday, April 20th. I am Spencer Linton. He is Jarom Jordan, always projected to win 100% of the time.
60% of the time, it works every time. On today's show, Cougar cornerback and NFL draft prospect Kaleb Hayes will join the program. Which teams are interested in him? Does he expect to get drafted? Does it matter to him? Men's Hoops reportedly adds another non-conference game in Provo. We'll tell you who. Plus, it's a men's volleyball and baseball ball night. The Gambill brothers from baseball will join us in studio ahead of a 3-game non-conference series coming up tonight on BYU TV and the BYU Radio app. But first, here are today's headlines.
Beginning with 6th-ranked BYU men's volleyball, who beat Concordia Irvine 3-1 in the opening round of the MPSF tournament. The Cougars advanced to the semifinals and face Stanford on their home floor. A third matchup with the Cardinal in the last week, though BYU did win the first two in Provo. 10 Eastern, watch it on Flow Sports. The winner advances to the Federation Championship match.
Baseball hosts UNC Greensboro in a 3-game non-conference series starting tonight, 8 Eastern on the BYU TV and the BYU Radio app. We'll chat with the Gambill brothers coming up.
BYU softball rallies in the 7th inning to beat Utah Valley 6-5. The Cougars are now 47-5 all-time against the Wolverines. Ailana Agbayani earns the win for the Cougars in the circle, pitching 3 innings of relief, giving up just 2 hits and 1 run. She struck out 3, so also instrumental with her bat. BYU now 23-13 on their season.
Track and field is hosting the Robinson Invitational. After day 1, Dallin Vortink is second in the decathlon. The decathlon and heptathlon continue during day 2 today.
Yoli Child scored 18 points, had 10 rebounds for the Hamburg Towers in Germany as they beat Heidelberg 90-86. Hamburg's next game this Saturday against Mitteldeutscher.
Yeah, of all the Deutschers, they're the one in the middle. And Evansville will visit men's basketball in Provo in early December, according to Purple Aces coach David Ragland, who told that to the Courier Press. More on the men's basketball schedule coming up in the winter.
Nobody breaks down Purple Aces and German Pro League basketball, for that matter, like BYU Sports.
Das ist gut!
All rise and shout. It's time for What's Trending. Yes, What's Trending presented by Tim Daly Ford, part of the Tim Daly Auto Group, serving Utah since 1968. ESPN has released their April edition of the Football Power Index, and they have listed BYU as a team that's going to win maybe 5 games. 4.9, the projected win total for BYU going into the 2023 season.
Very exciting.
According to the numbers from ESPN. Now, they did give a percentage to win each game, and we'll go through that game by game.
Yes,
but, Jarom, just your initial reaction to BYU being projected to win essentially 5 games in 2023.
I get it. BYU lost a lot of pieces, notably, and they're going to play in a Power 5 league. I understand why the projection would be like this, and I actually love it. Because remember, BYU performs better as an underdog than it does a favorite. So I love this. The team can go into the offseason and say, no one thought we could do it. Shout out to all the haters. Like, hopefully that fuels their motivation and their preparation for the fall. And BYU surprised some people by hopefully getting to 7 or 8 wins. Now, is 7 or 8 wins like a really good season? No, like 8 is a good season. But 7 in year 1, I think, would be pretty good, given we just don't know how hard this is going to be overall in the Big 12. So I'm perfectly fine with it being low. If it was like 8.5, I'd be like, too high. In fact, if it was 6.5, that'd probably be like where we're sitting, probably, in terms of what we think BYU is going to do. Confident BYU is going to make a bowl game because BYU can win 4 of its last 10 games. I'm pretty confident about that.
So it's a funny mix because ESPN comes out and it's all analytical. I mean, it's just stats based on returning production and metrics. And I like the Football Power
Index. The opponent
Index.
Against you. Yeah.
But it's just one metric, and it's based on numbers you throw into a computer. This is not like this biased take by a panel of experts that have come together and been like, well, we projected together that BYU should win 5 games. No, this is all numbers.
And even then, okay, great, whatever.
There's nobody really to be mad at, but it's not something that BYU fans will like. So there's this analytical number, and then there's what you and I think will happen. You've settled in, I believe, around 7 games.
Six and a half.
Okay.
6.5.
I've settled in on 7 even. I think BYU can win 7 regular season games.
I have 6.82 according to my
Your own formula? The Jarom Jordan metric?
I never took a stats class at BYU. I don't know what I'm doing there.
Okay, so there's this analytical number. There's what we think will happen. But then there's this question. How many games should BYU be favored in this season? Because the FPI is not favorable in that category either.
Right, hence the 4.9. Yeah.
Let's go game by game. Sam Houston State, 94.2% chance to win that game.
Yeah. Next.
Southern Utah, 97.5%. BYU is going to start 2-0.
Start 2-0. If they're not, huge problems.
At Arkansas, just 20% chance to win that game.
It's not like Arkansas was a world beater last year, but it is SEC road. It is a team that put up, 66? Was it that many on BYU? I can't even remember.
Was it 52?
52. It felt like 66.
59?
Yeah. Listen.
When it gets to 50 and you're losing, it's like, I don't know.
You just put it out of your mind, honestly. Like 2011 versus Utah, I literally forgot the score for years. It was only 52.
52-35.
It felt like 66. Yeah, 20% feels low there, but it's at SEC and obviously a team that can run the ball and took it to BYU quite a bit last year. BYU's defense will be improved. At Kansas. Prior to last year, we would have said this was like, 92% chance to win.
This is a coin flip game, according to FPI.
If BYU can't win at Kansas, why would we think they're going to win any Big 12 game on the road? Tell me that.
48.5% chance of all the road games that BYU plays. That clearly is the best road opportunity that BYU has in conference play.
I think BYU really needs to start 4-1 to have a shot at 7+. Because if they don't, it's hard. Because those are some of your best win percentage chances. Also, Kansas would be the weakest of your 6 Power 5 road games. And then you're at home for Cincinnati in the Big 12 home opener. I think there's no way BYU loses to Cincinnati.
52.4%.
It has less to do with Cincinnati and more to do with the
setting,
juice
the setting
of the first home game as a Big 12 team in conference. I think there's no way BYU loses that. I think BYU starts 4-1. The hope is that they can hold on in the tougher part of the schedule with the remaining 7. 4-1 would be awesome. BYU's ranked, overhyped at this point probably, because I don't think BYU is going to go 8+ this year, but that'd be great. But a 4-1 start would be really, really nice.
So if BYU can get to 4-1, and again, Cincinnati at home, 52% chance that BYU wins that game. The metrics don't love BYU clearly, even at home.
That is the highest Sam Houston's FBS now. Let's say after game 2, the highest Power 5 win percentage of any game all year of the 10 is that Cincinnati.
It's your home opener.
There's no, I'm telling you right now, we know how to party hard when it deserves it. Baylor last year.
Utah.
Showed up.
In 2021.
Both home openers, by the way, against Power 5 competition. So that first Power 5 home game will be Cincinnati. BYU will be freaking juiced.
Yep.
The team, the fans, the stadium, everything. It is going to be one of the most electric atmospheres in the history of BYU football. Cannot wait. BYU's 4-1, and then we just hope for the best.
At
after
TCU, 16%. Texas Tech at home is the one that is a head scratcher.
That's weird. I'd go like mid-40s on BYU's chance to win that game.
32% chance to beat Texas Tech in Provo? What?
Texas Tech had good metrics last year.
This is a coin flip game to me.
Yeah.
Coin flip game.
Yeah. And what if BYU's pretty good? Then they should win that game at home. And let's say BYU drops to a TCU 4-2. Beat Texas Tech at home, and you are 5-2.
You're 1 win away from bowl eligibility.
That is the realistic best-case scenario for BYU to this point, is to be 5-2 at that point. Because then you go to Texas, unless Taysom Hill's playing in that game, no. Listen, Texas is supposed to be good, but guess what? Every year they're supposed to be.
A whopping 5% chance given to BYU to win that game.
5% feels super low. BYU has good history, obviously, against the Longhorns. We'll see how it goes. 5 is super low.
Here's where I really struggle.
I'd put it at like 20%.
And I know that the back 4 in November are something that BYU has never faced, clearly, okay?
Right, but West Virginia and Iowa State aren't world.
West Virginia, fine. I'm okay. I understand the 36.7% at West Virginia.
Is that just because of travel?
Probably. I don't understand BYU being a home dog to Iowa State.
I don't either.
46%.
Yeah.
And only an 18% chance to beat Oklahoma on senior night in Provo.
Oklahoma's supposed to be awesome.
Like, I'm sure they're going to be great. 18% in Provo?
They weren't great last year. Like, will Brent Venables and company really fix what was wrong last year? I don't know. At Oklahoma
Is Dylan
State,
Gabriel all of a sudden a world beater against BYU?
he wasn't in 2020 in the Boca Raton Bowl, I'll tell you that. At Oklahoma State, 24%.
That's fine. I'm fine with that.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good team, right? And that's, there'll be one player in particular who will have some super emotional feelings going into that one.
There are 2
BYU.
Guaranteed wins on the schedule.
Yeah. And
The
that's
first
it.
2.
Wait, is this the season where with the fewest amount of guaranteed wins walking into a season ever in BYU history?
Has to
like
be.
1936 when BYU went to the Colorado School of Mines. I felt like we thought that would be a win.
With 10 Power 5s,
With 10 Power 5s.
it makes sense.
All of these numbers make sense, and well, not all of them, but like mostly, and I understand why, and I'm perfectly fine with it. I want BYU to operate as a dog. Like, maybe BYU gets to the point where Utah is, where it's like, no, we expect to win the league. That would be awesome. In fact, there's a couple other numbers with FPI to bring up as a whole. So you mentioned 4.9 projected wins. 6 wins, 32.9% chance.
33% chance, essentially, to win 6 games.
Feels low to me. A little
It is
higher would
low.
be nice.
It's low.
Conference win chance, 0%. Okay.
I'm sorry, what?
What?
It's not even, like, how can it be 0%? Like, that,
There's no shot.
That doesn't.
I love this, though. If I'm BYU football, I put this in the locker room. I'm like, this projection says this. Let's go prove
0%, not even 0.01.
Yeah.
Just 0.
There's 0% that's accurate. FPI rank is 60. You're kind of middle of the pack in FBS.
13 of the 14 Big 12 teams.
And as we've chronicled quite a bit the last couple weeks. Listen, these numbers stink, and I'm fine with that. Because I just think BYU operates way – like, when has BYU operated as the clear favorite and been way better than expectation? Like,
For the first 6 games of 2008.
Not too much, right? And then lost 3 games that year. And a 10-3 year is normally pretty good. That was a big disappointment that year, given quest for perfection. Granted, Bronco wasn't the best at sort of labeling a season or jerseys in tradition, spirit, honor. He did a lot of things great. PR was not necessarily his best one in a couple of instances. So it's all good, man. Like, last year we operated out of the BYU's going to be 10+ good.
Yeah.
They were not. They were not. BYU is better, not as a front runner, but as a dog.
Okay.
And they certainly walk in as a dog into the Big 12.
So the question is, how many games should BYU be favored in this season?
Let's walk
right
through
now
it.
it's 3. ESPN has BYU favored in 3 games.
It should probably be like 5.
At least 4.
Texas Tech at home, and then
Iowa State at home.
Iowa State at home. At Kansas, maybe?
Toss up.
Listen, Kansas started 4-0. They got game day. Jalen Daniels, their quarterback, was really good, like outside Heisman kind of guy. And then they lost like 6 of the next 8 after he got hurt. So he's back, and they'll be interesting. But it's still Kansas football. Like, 1 year does not make a program. Certainly they were better. But if BYU can't win at Kansas, how are they going to beat anybody else on the road in the Big 12 if you can't win at Kansas?
Well, again, like, worst case, BYU loses at Arkansas, at Kansas, you're 2-2 after the first 4. Like, and you're coming home to Cincinnati, and it's like, okay, now you have to beat Cincinnati to have really any, like, logical shot at getting to 6 wins in a bowl scenario.
Back 6. Texas Tech, at Texas, at West Virginia, Iowa State, Oklahoma, at Oklahoma State. We are hoping BYU goes 2-4 in that. That's a tough stretch. Therefore, I think you need to go 4-2 in the first 6.
For sure. So humor me, okay? And we've done this before several schedules.
This is not funny. This is very serious to me.
Guaranteed wins, toss up, and then projected loss. Like, it's one of the 3 categories.
Yeah, so we're going to go like win-loss tie is sort of our toss-up.
Okay, so the first 2 are guaranteed, like, we're calling wins.
Yep.
Okay, 2-0.
Yep.
Arkansas, is that a projected loss?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 2-1. Kansas, toss up?
Should be a win to me.
It feels like a win for
It
you.
should be a win.
Okay.
If BYU can't win at Kansas, how are you going to win
See,
other
to me,
road
that's
games?
a toss-up. Okay?
A lot of respect for
Toss
Kansas
up.
football, man.
Because of the road scenario, first Big 12 game, like Kansas is going to have some juice. They'll probably have scheduled week. They'll be 3-0. Like their fans will be excited. It's going to be a road environment.
I feel you, but they had one good year.
Okay.
It doesn't mean they're,
Cincinnati. That's a win for me.
That needs to be a win.
It's a win for me.
Cincinnati, good program. Respect the
Yes.
heck out of those guys.
Okay, so right now I've got
But
3
BYU's
guaranteed
gonna be
wins.
juiced.
And
it's a Friday night in Provo. That's hard to beat.
in the first 5, I've got 3 wins, a toss-up, and a loss.
Yeah.
Okay? At TCU,
Loss.
Texas Tech in Provo. They're
win.
calling 32%.
Toss-up.
That's a toss-up game, right? At Texas, loss.
Yeah.
At West Virginia, toss-up.
That's a toss-up. Yeah.
Iowa State in Provo,
That should be a win.
Win.
Yep.
Oklahoma in Provo.
Loss.
At Oklahoma State. To me, feels
Probably
like,
loss.
to me, that feels like, based on what Oklahoma State is and what they did last year, that feels closer to a toss-up than it does just a loss.
It's not in the same category as Kansas, though. That's a loss to me. Like, if you win that game, great.
Okay, so take it as a loss. How many guaranteed
So I go,
wins are on there?
I go, what is it, 5-4-3.
Okay, I've got 4 wins, 5 toss-up games, 3 projected losses.
Yeah. Therefore, BYU will win 12 games.
With 5 toss-ups, BYU's going to win 2 of those to go along with the 4 games. I think they're going to win at least 6.
Yeah. Hopefully in your toss-ups you go high side.
I would love that. 3 and 2 in the 5 toss-ups? Yeah, for sure.
I have 3 toss-ups. I go,
You're calling your shots.
I go 4-5-3. Yeah, 4-5-3. Yeah.
Okay. Our question of the day: how many games would you favor BYU football in this season based on everything we just talked about?
In your unbiased opinion, Cougar
Okay.
Nation.
ESPN's Football Power Index says 4.9, so 5 wins.
Yeah.
Jeremy, I
5
think
wins?
at least 6 wins.
Come on.
In fact, I'm going 7.
4?
I'm buying this team.
Can BYU go
7 wins.
Can BYU go 4-6 against 10 Power 5 teams? That's what we're asking.
Yes.
40%. The 40% win thing I've
BYU
screamed for
can go
years.
5-5 against 10 Power 5s.
Now you're a 7-win team.
Yes.
There you go.
All right.
And if you go 6-4, you're a 7. There you go.
I'm buying this team. There's so much
wins.
experience on this team and the staff. Like, there's some stock there.
It's just the attrition of 10 Power 5 games. Yeah.
Jason Palmer on Facebook says, my optimistic count is 7, with realism dropping BYU to 6, maybe even
How many
5.
games favored? Okay. 7's high.
7 games to be favored in? That's a lot.
Too many.
Yeah. Anything less would be pretty disappointing. But is he saying
Wins
or games that BYU
favor?
should be favored
Well,
in?
the question was about favor.
Yeah. So
there you go.
But I believe, based on how he phrased this is more like how many games BYU is going to win. Like, I think they should be favored in 4 games. 4.
Only 2 of the 10 Power 5?
It is what it is right now.
It is. It's ball night in Miller Park. Baseball team hosts UNC Greensboro. Game 1 of the series, 8 Eastern on BYU TV and the BYU Radio app.
Up next, following a fantastic performance during BYU football's Pro Day, we think he just may have pushed himself into a draft position.
Hey.
Cornerback Kaleb Hayes joins us next to discuss his stock. This is BYU Sports Nation.
Hey.
This portion of BYU Sports Nation is presented by the Tim Daly Auto Group, serving Utah since 1968.
When my grandfather started this company in 1947, he couldn't have envisioned what we would ultimately become. We realized that our value to our customers is that we will be there day after day, year after year, doing whatever we need to find solutions to the challenges that they face. We are committed to be honestly better in all that we do, in every opportunity that we have to serve our customers.
They prefer to be bringing the heat, getting set for success, demonstrating their drive. But when their blood and sweat turns to tears or anything else, we lay the groundwork for BYU's athletes to hit the ground running again, and you as well. Intermountain Healthcare, official medical provider for BYU Athletics.
He knows that he's different. He knows that things are hard for him.
Taking the leg was how we could save her life.
I think God put the animals in our path, and I think it is up to us to care for them.
It's like dream come true kind of stuff.
Good job, buddy.
You've completed her life.
He loves it so much.
There are happy endings to tragic situations.
We are live in Studio B. This is your day-to-day BYU Sports play-by-play alongside Jarom Jordan. I am Spencer Linton. You just saw the man we're about to talk to, Kaleb Hayes, doing his thing for BYU football as a defensive back, now with those NFL dreams and the draft quickly approaching. Kaleb, welcome back to BYU Sports Nation. How are you feeling 1 week away from the NFL draft?
Man, it's just all mixed emotions, man. Nervous, anxious, excited. Like, it's just all coming to one, and, just been waiting a whole month. It's kind of a surreal feeling, but, it's a great feeling to be experiencing, definitely in my shoes, and I know the other boys will feel the same.
We're excited because BYU's got a heavy dose of involvement in this year's draft, of course, yourself included. How are you feeling about your chances at perhaps being drafted or no lower than a priority free agent should it come to that?
I feel great, man. I honestly think, my stock has risen. So, it depends on, what team really mess with me and what team not. But at the end of the day, I think I showed out. We had 32 teams that day. And, if they would turn on film and everything like that, I think my odds and chances is pretty high.
So you mentioned the 32 teams that were watching and were there for BYU's Pro Day, an incredible turnout for sure. Which of those teams have, in your opinion, expressed the most interest in you?
I would say there's quite a few. Definitely, I would say the ones that I went to, the Chargers, the Broncos 30 visit. I had a couple of interviews with the 49ers and other interviews with certain other teams, but all of them, man. It's great. It's great to be seen and wanted. Man, that's one thing. And it's just a blessed opportunity and a privilege to be able to go out there and showcase my talents. And I thank God for that. And just gotta keep on moving, just keep on working. I gotta keep on working. I just dug myself a deeper hole. That's all I did. But it's great. It's great, man.
What was the interest like in you before Pro Day, and then once you have a 40-inch vertical and a 4.31 40 after Pro Day?
I would say before Pro Day and everything, name is heard of. Definitely went to the NFL PA Bowl, showed out my talents, I think, and I believe I balled out there. So, it was I think I kind of sparked interest, from then on, and the Pro Day was just the icing on the cake, but not the cherry on top. Like I said, icing on the cake, not the cherry on top, because I still got to go out there and wherever team that lands me and picks me, I still got to dominate there. So and win in that situation. So yeah, that's what it is, man.
Obviously, incredible marks, and Jarom just mentioned them: a 4.31 40 and a 40-inch vertical. Just out of curiosity, what's your fastest recorded 40? And your highest vertical mark that you have ever done, whether people saw it or not?
I would say the 4.31 is probably about my fastest. I don't really it's so funny that you say that. My friends joke about it because I just never run fast as much as I wanted to. And that's just because there's actually no need. But I knew I could run really fast. That wasn't a bit of issue track in high school. I always did that. 40, I hit 40 at Oregon State, and actually the 40 and for that I hit a 4.39 at Oregon State. I jumped 40-inch vert. We did our own little pro day over there, and I knew I had to I knew I was gonna test well. That's one thing. I just wanted, I wanted to dominate in all factors. I wanted just to be about me that day, to show them like, hey, you're getting an all-inclusive package. Like I'm all, I'm all what you need. Like, it's just a matter of just believing in me and like building me up. But yeah, I've been doing my abilities. Made some best of the teammates, but it I proved a lot of people wrong, man. And I'm happy that I did so, and just gotta keep at it.
We're going to start calling you Cancun because you're all-inclusive, which is awesome. I love that. What was your favorite or best play at BYU, and why was it back-to-back breakups against USC in 2021?
Big play. I do love the Baylor one, man. The last play, the guy was trying to throw it at my wide receiver. It was definitely a team effort. That time I just, how you say, he just threw it to him. I seen I was just on it, and there was no chance. And, I was just, that was just a great team win, and that was very memorable for me, at least, because, it wasn't just honestly about me. It was just about, everybody did their job so perfectly, and it just helped me to be in the right position to even be close enough so the quarterback can't even he has to make a tough throw. So, and then we won that game, and that was very exciting, very exhilarating. And you said the USC one, man, I don't know, man. I think they just don't like me over there. Sorry, they just kept picking at me, and it was like it wasn't gonna work. So, and it was that was a crazy game as well, man, because it was very close, down to the wire, and that was a good team. So, things just happen. I just had to be on my P's and Q's and just did my job. That's what I'm supposed to do.
Former BYU defensive back, NFL hopeful Kaleb Hayes is on BYU Sports Nation. I want to go back to something you brought up with, some wagers that you had with your teammates. I think I was talking to Maury Bamba, if I recall, on Pro Day, and he said, oh, man, now I got to pay up to Kaleb because he didn't think you were going to run as fast as you did. How many side bets did you have going on Pro Day?
Hey, I'm not even going to lie to you. When I first got into BYU and everything, everybody was talking about, I forgot how the conversation got brought up, but everybody was talking about, who's the fastest at BYU and everything like that. And, at this point, I kind of filled everybody out and everything, and just, try to see what's going on. And somebody, I said, I think I'm the fastest one at BYU. And that's kind of where it started. And, everybody was like, oh, heck no, that's not true. You can't work. And I'm like, nah, I kind of see speed. I think I'm faster than everybody else. But, hey, we'll just see it come on Pro Day, by them. And they're like, oh, I will bet. He's like, what time did you, Coach G's gaslighting the whole situation. He knows I'm fast. He's gaslighting everybody. So he's just like, nah, you're not fast. You're not fast. But he does. He knew. But, yeah, it was definitely a lot in the DB room because, everybody think they were fast and everything like that, which, they are, but I'm just faster. So I'm just glad that, I did my wagers back then because, I had to bet on myself, and that's what you do, right? You have to bet on yourself all the time. Don't get it wrong, though. I was nervous. I was like, do I still have a 4.3 in me? And then when I started running and doing my own combine training and everything like that, I was like, oh, yeah, this is going to be easy money.
And I think you literally got some money from that. We're talking to Cancun on BYU Sports. I'm going with it. Let's talk about that speed because Chris Wilcox in 2020 ran a 4.31. He snuck into the 7th round of the Bucks. Do you feel like you can get into the draft, or does that matter to you? Because a lot of guys will say, I'd rather be a free agent and have a great fit than be drafted by whoever in the 6th or 7th round. Or does being drafted matter to you?
I guess it depends. No, it does matter, man. Everything matters. It's the opportunity. It's being drafted. It's a great, it's a great feeling. I can already tell. I would say it matters. You know, I do want to be in a great fit to where, you know, I'm not just there for just space. I'm there to actually compete and actually be seen. Because you know, that's what everybody would do. But at the end of the day, I'm going to be seen no matter where I end up. And that's just not just by, like, you know, just talk. Like, you know, I'm gonna show up. And, like, you know, at the end of the day, whoever is going to be at camp and, like, going to be on that field, you know, they got to showcase themselves. So I'm going to just prove, and that's just how I've been throughout my life. I'm just work and just prove myself every day to get on that field and, like, make sure they know I belong. So it's a mission, it's a grind. I won't say it's mission impossible, but, you know, it's gonna be fun, man. And I'm excited. I can't wait to get on whatever team I'm at and, like, just dominate.
Kaleb Hayes is on BYU Sports Nation, 1 week away from the NFL draft. Let's say all 32 teams are again listening to this interview, Kaleb. What's your sales pitch about what you would bring to each of those teams and the skill set that you take with you?
I'll say the first thing and foremost, man, like, you know, I'm a team player. Like, you know, I love to win. Their interest is my interest. I'm trying to win championships. I'm trying to win games. You know, I'm trying to be the best man I can be on and off the field. And, like, you know, just represent my family and God, you know, and those who supported me throughout my way. So, you know, this is not just a single man show. You know, this is everybody's in it. Everybody's inclusive in this experience of me. But if that's how you do say it. But I would say, like, you know, my best skill sets, man, like, you know, I have a high football IQ. I can match up with anybody. You know, people love my man skills. You know, I fit great in zones. I understand the game of football. And, like, you know, special teams is no, I don't shy away from those as well. You know, throughout my career, I always play special teams, and that's just what I do. I know that's going to be first and foremost, and, like, you know, that's where I'm going to get my money at, which is great because, you know, if that's all I have to do, like, shoot, I can contribute any type of way, making sure, like, you know, I got to do what I got to do on the field. But, you know, it's funny because I actually did like a little interview. It's kind of posted up somewhere. But basically, like, you know, if you believe in me and invest in me, like, and show that, you know, you want me to be on your team and know me for wanted, like, I'm gonna make sure things are gonna get done, like, no matter what, in whatever position or situation you put me in. Like, I always emphasize this now because, like, you know, this is just something I'll say, like, now, like, it's just win. Everything I do is just win. So that's what you're gonna get from me, man.
Kaleb, it probably goes without saying, but we are Team Hayes on BYU Sports Nation.
Let's go, baby.
We cannot wait to watch how this thing unfolds for you. Commend you and congratulate you on all the hard work you put in with those incredible numbers and the case that you've created for yourself to get drafted. Good luck, man. Take some BYU Sports Nation karma. We'll be watching. And like I said, we super anticipate where you end up in the NFL.
I appreciate y'all, man. Thank you for getting me on this interview. It's been nice. It's been nice to be serving BYU and playing for y'all, man. All love to Coach Kalani. All love to Coach G and my teammates. And, man, and all love to the BYU fans, man. Hey, I love all y'all, man. I appreciate you guys for my journey. And, like, you know, it ain't over yet. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. And, like I said, like, everything that led up to this, like, it's because of thanks of y'all. And we're going to get this show on the road, man.
Let's go. Thanks, Kaleb. Great to talk with you, man.
Great to talk to y'all, man. Let's go. Let's get it.
Kaleb Hayes on BYU Sports Nation.
Love
hey,
it.
Do yourself a favor. Don't ever make a bet against that, man.
Buy Kaleb Hayes stock. We have Chris Wilcox. We have Michael Davis. We have more modern kind of cornerbacks from BYU having some success. Now, I just named two, but Kaleb Hayes can be three. And now it's sort of trending that direction where it's like, okay, in the Kalani Sitake era, he's producing NFL cornerbacks.
Could Eddie Heckard be the next one?
I love it because that's a position where since '93, BYU hadn't had a draft pick until Chris Wilcox.
Yeah.
Hopefully Kaleb Hayes can sneak in there. With those numbers, he certainly could.
Let's go.
Not to mention the film. The film matters the most. If you miss any interviews like that one, shows, games, Deep Blues, etc., find them on BYUSN.com. Download the free BYU TV app. Get all your BYU TV sports content on demand.
Let's have some hypothetical fun. If BYU men's volleyball beats Stanford tonight in the MPSF tournament, would the Cougars essentially punch their ticket to the NCAA tournament? We'll discuss next on BYU Sports Nation.
BYU Sports Nation is presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere.
Utah is a special place. Our communities, the people, the history. There is no place quite like Utah. At Siegfried and Jensen, we're honored to say that we are from Utah. We live here, work here, and when someone is injured, we're proud to say we've helped a neighbor when they've needed it most. We know Utah. At Siegfried and Jensen, we're here for you.
Learn more at siegfriedandjensen.com.
Introducing the truck for adventure. The all-new 2022 Nissan Frontier doesn't compromise on power or comfort. This midsize truck was redesigned to incorporate the latest technology and designs for safety, comfort, and convenience. Plus, with up to 6,700 pounds of towing capacity and best-in-class horsepower, it's rugged enough for adventure and still safe enough to transport all your favorite people. Where's your new Frontier? You'll find it at Tim Daly Nissan Southtown and South Jordan.
Before I was a coach at BYU, or before I was even a player, I was a BYU fan.
We've got great energy as a team, but we have even better energy because of our fans, and it's absolutely magical.
When you hear the crowd roar, that makes it more exciting, more of an adrenaline rush.
The roar of the crowd, you can feel it on the floor, you can feel that energy, and it's unlike anywhere else in the country.
BYU Sports, it's all about the fans.
Follow BYU Sports Nation on social media for content throughout the day: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Twitter.
He is Jarom and Spencer. You know what time it is. Let's whip it! Cougar Whip Around presented by Maersk, your e-commerce logistics shipping partner.
ESPN's Jordan Reed and Matt Miller projected where each quarterback will be drafted and potential fit. They had Jaron Hall going in the 4th round to the Ravens. Do you like the fit? If not, where else would you like him to go?
Not really, because I think that the whole Lamar Jackson situation is kind of weird, and they already have Tyler Huntley. I don't like that situation specifically for Jaron, unless the Ravens have other plans in mind that we don't know about. They very well could. I like him in Minnesota. Of all the projections that I've seen, I love Jaron Hall in Minnesota backing up Kirk Cousins and learning from a true veteran and a winning franchise.
You like that. He would like that. If Hall wouldn't turn the ball over at the goal line in a playoff game. I know that. So we'll see where Hall goes. I don't know what the best fit for him is, but it depends if a team likes him enough to want him to be the next guy or to be a starter and just see. We'll see what happens next week.
I'd love to visit Minnesota in the fall with Jaron Hall, a member of that roster.
That'd be neato.
Absolutely. All right, on to basketball with the report that Evansville will visit Provo. That brings BYU men's basketball, at least reported, non-conference games to a total of 5. Home against San Diego State on November 10th. The Wooden Classic that features Arizona State and NC State. At Utah, Evansville in Provo, and Morgan State in Provo. How are you liking the way BYU's non-conference schedule is shaping up thus far?
I need BYU to mail it in a little more. Because San Diego State, Arizona State, NC State, TBD opponent in that tournament. Again, need BYU to go 10-3 in non-conference. Need to schedule for success with the Big 12 being so tough.
Hey, beat San Diego State in Provo. Just pay a little back there.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. A Jets digital reporter, Paul Esden, proposed the Jets and Niners trade Zach Wilson for Trey Lance, former number 2 and 3 picks in the 21 draft. Would you be a fan of Zach going to the Niners?
Sure, but it's not going to happen. That would never happen. Yes, there are a lot of people that wish Zach would have been drafted by the 49ers in the first place.
Yeah, I do. I wish he would have mailed it in, speaking of, on Pro Day a little more.
Yes, that's great. But more than likely, I still am a believer that the Jets are going to figure out a deal with Aaron Rodgers, and Zach can learn behind Aaron Rodgers. I think that is about as ideal as it gets. Stay with the team that drafted you. They still show some love for you and some stock in you. They bring in Aaron Rodgers, one of the GOATs. I feel like that's what needs to happen.
I don't believe the Jets believe in Zach Wilson long term. I believe Zach, if he's going to get to play and have success, will have to go elsewhere.
It could be. I mean, the case study would show that you're probably right.
There's no evidence that they like Zach in the future.
I'm hopeful that he doesn't have to be ruled this early as a bust. I hate that.
We're not there yet. No,
I hate that.
We're not there yet.
After BYU volleyball beat Concordia last night, they'll face Stanford tonight. Third time in a week they faced the Cardinal. If BYU beats the Cardinal, have they done enough to earn an at-large spot in the NCAA tournament?
Not necessarily. They're competing with UC Irvine and Grand Canyon primarily. That's assuming it's chalk with Penn State in the IVA, and in the Big West that Long Beach State or Hawaii wins. Neva's whatever, they'll be a one-bid league, I think. BYU certainly has a chance to get in as an at-large bid should they not beat Stanford, and then probably UCLA, who plays Grand Canyon tonight. BYU certainly, if it's the first team out, did a tremendous job of even being in this position. BYU's overachieved up to this point. I am happy with whatever happens from here on out. But it would be awesome if BYU got into the NCAA tournament.
That absolutely is situational. It all depends on the blue blood volleyball programs holding serve, no pun intended, and winning their tournaments, right?
Yeah.
If Hawaii, if the teams that are supposed to win, and BYU gets to the championship, I think they got a great shot at getting in, even if they don't beat UCLA.
Depends how much they value head-to-head and RPI and blah, blah, blah. Yep. After BYU and Utah combined for 43 runs Tuesday night in baseball, will BYU UNC Greensboro combine for 43 runs during the entire series?
Yes. Combined?
Yes.
Yes. The two teams together.
Yes.
Over 3 games.
Yes.
Yes. That's an average of what? 14, a little more than 14 runs per game combined.
Yeah, 7 teams. It feels high. You may have a low-scoring game here or there. I would go just a shade under. You may have a high-scoring game or two. There might be a game where it's like 4-1. Who knows?
I could see like a 14-10 game in there that's going to sway it the other way. Yeah.
That's fun baseball to watch, let's be honest.
I'm going,
You could have a pitcher's duel. You could also have just slow pitch softball style.
These teams will hit 43 combined runs in 3 combined games. All right, up next, speaking of BYU baseball, we've got a brotherly connection in Studio B with Cole and Tate Gambill on the show. How do you bounce back from the disappointment against Utah and score a bunch of runs against Greensboro? We're going to talk to them next on BYU Sports Nation.
I need 30 runs tonight.
This portion of BYU Sports Nation is presented by Maersk, your e-commerce logistics shipping partner.
Trio Orem Senior Living believes in empowering seniors to live life to the fullest. We help eliminate stress out of daily life when you live at Trio. Less time focusing on housework means you can socialize at one of our many events, with safety in mind, of course. And did we mention our spacious apartments with modern amenities? Learn more about setting up a private tour at trioorem.com.
If you're looking to build your brand awareness and increase market share as BYU moves into the Big 12, this is the place, BYU Athletics. We can provide the tools you need to make sure your company is seen and heard. BYU Athletics is where you can align your products and services with loyal fans that cheer for our Cougars. And they can also help your business win. Learn more about what a partnership with BYU Athletics and your company will look like. After all, this is the place. Email sponsorship at byu.edu today.
I was adopted as a baby.
Love, that's the missing piece.
4 teams are racing to find their family.
I would really love to meet my parents. It's high time that we see each other again.
I'm your dad, Tommy.
I'm your sister, love. Really?
I just want her to know I forgive you.
It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Welcome to an all-new season of Relative Race.
Gambill delivers. It is gone! Smooth as butter right there for Cole Gambill. Huge out for Mabius, and he knows it.
Oh, yeah, welcome back to BYU Sports Nation. We are live in Studio B, the studio of brotherly love at the moment, as we welcome in the brothers from BYU Baseball, Cole and Tate Gambill. Welcome to the show, guys.
What's up, homies?
What's up? Thanks for having us.
Have we had brothers in studio besides the Rexes, maybe?
We had the Rexes on
Second Pair of Bros.
Was that Media Day?
Spring Media Day. Yeah, it was good. It was good. Good to have brothers in.
Yes.
Awesome.
All right, let's address the elephant in the room. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Okay. How do you, as brothers,
both body language,
console each other and work through things mentally after losing the way you did to Utah? What is the way that you can move on and just get to a better place?
Man, that's tough. You go ahead.
I don't know. For me, it was just a quick run to In-N-Out, flush it, and try to get to bed early so I can wake up and go right back to work the next day.
A double-double and a little shake. That'll solve a lot of problems.
It solved a lot. It really did.
It was definitely the wildest game of my life. I've played a long time, obviously, and played a lot of games. I've never been a part of a game like that. So I'm glad it's over, for sure, but at the same time, you always have to just remember it is just one game. In baseball, you get to play so many, so you just got to jump to the next one.
I was telling you during the break, while Utah wins that game by 15 runs, BYU had a 17-run win against Utah within the last decade. So there's that too, right?
It happens.
There you go.
Yeah,
it does happen.
It happens. Okay, you get right back at it with UNC Greensboro, which we'll talk about in a minute. But let's talk about it's kind of the brotherly dynamic. What's it like to play on the same team as brothers? We'll start with you, Cole.
Yeah, it's been so fun. And one thing we were talking about before we came here today is we've never really played a lot of competitive baseball games on the same team together. We might have been on the same high school team, but we were a couple years apart. And because
what's the age difference?
It's a year and a half and 2 years in school. And so because of that in high school, we never played really on the same team. And even growing up and going into junior college first and now here at BYU. Before BYU, we'd never gotten to play real competitive baseball games together. So being on the same team, I know coming into the year, we were both pretty thrilled, and it's been a ton of fun.
A mission and 4 years in college can certainly help. I guess 5 years with COVID or whatever. But
right.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. How was it for you, Tate?
It's been a dream come true. I've always been dreaming about it, you know, because even when we were growing up playing backyard baseball, like we were always on different teams because you have the four brothers. I'd always be with the middle one. He'd always be with the youngest. So when I had an opportunity with COVID, honestly, biggest blessing, even though it was a weird time, but it was a blessing because Cole got an extra year and I was able to come here and we were able to hang out and play, so it's been a lot of fun.
How do both of you view each other in a game scenario? Are there extra nerves when you're watching your sibling play? Like, how does that work for you, Cole?
That's an interesting one. I hate to say this because I love all my teammates, but I do care a little bit more when he's when he's hitting.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, when he's hitting and stuff, like I'll pay attention just a little bit more, and I'm actually thinking a little bit more about what might be happening. Not that it, really helps. I'm in the dugout not doing anything, but I do care a little bit more when he's hitting, and I pay attention a little bit more what's going on. So.
How about you, Tim?
Yeah, I'm always kind of a loud vocal guy, but people have definitely pointed out that I'm a little louder when Cole goes up to the plate. So it's definitely
crank it up.
Yeah, I've always wanted his success. Ever since I was a little kid, it's always been fun going to his games and just watching him play and having him setting the example for me. So I've always rooted him a little extra.
I've been a huge fan of yours already just because of your name, because I have a son named Tate.
Yeah.
Same spelling as you. My middle name's Tate. So, yeah, we got a connection. Yeah. Let's talk about your sneakers, dude.
Oh,
These are legit, bro.
The Air Force Up-Tempo 95.
Nice. Looks like you're ready to go right now.
Yeah, I know. I'm ready to go ball. Always ready, always packing. I actually stole these from my little brother. He's on his mission. Sorry, Cade. But, you know. What can you do?
That's awesome. Let's talk about the family dynamic, because obviously you two are here at BYU. You both went to Argentina on your mission. There's a lot of solid community college in the family, except you went to College of Southern Idaho.
Yeah.
So what role does kind of baseball play in the Gambill household?
It's a crazy one. I mean, we've all played since we were young kids. We all played, obviously, going up through high school. I would say none of us in high school were very heavily recruited, and for that exact reason is probably why we all found ourselves in junior college, right? My one brother who hasn't started college yet, he's on a mission, and he'll go to Salt Lake as well.
Yeah.
I think maybe we're late bloomers, maybe it is, you know, one of those type of things, but we all were able to develop physically on the mission, just get older and bigger and more of a, you know, more of a man, quite honestly.
I knew it was an advantage.
Yeah, huge advantage, honestly. So anyways, we all got older that way and stronger and bigger and everything else, and I think once that started to take over for us, then all of a sudden the baseball became a little easier.
Baseball is such a funny game, and there are so many nuances, and it's a fickle beast, right? Like one little bounce can change an entirety of a game, the whole dynamic. And I say that, I preface it by saying, like, I thought that you had turned a corner. Yeah, I watched BYU win another conference series, and then it's like, they're going to take care of business against Utah, and then they'll handle Greensboro and go back into WCC play. But a lot of ups and downs. So how do you manage it when there are so many games and the emotions are so high and so differing from one game to another? Tate, we'll start with you.
That's a great question. How bouncing back from a game like that is always tough. You know, like it's like, dang, we just got blitzed that bad right there. But there are so many things that are going right for us right now, especially coming down the stretch. I mean, we just got Deming back, Cole's back, Ryan's not hurt anymore. Like, so many guys are coming back and big-time contributors. And even the guys that came in that during those, when Deming was hurt and stuff, like, they stepped up. I mean, Easton Jones, he's a freshman, and he was a stud while he was playing. And, you know, just toughing through these tough times.
Yeah. I think the hardest part of baseball is just being able to stay level. And that includes when things are going really well, being able to just find that middle ground to kind of stand on. And so that's, I think, been the toughest thing with the team this year is because of all the injuries, because of all the people that have been in and out of the lineup, especially young kids, a lot of freshmen getting time to play. Because of all that, it's been really important to try to figure out how we can just keep that, you know, that modest middle momentum and energy the whole time, because that's really what's going to help you when things start to go south.
Speaking of energy, your wife Lauren was in here the other day.
Yeah, that's
Congrats winning the Natty. What's it like in the Gambill household to just be champs?
Yeah, well, she's the champ. I mean, if we're talking about, we joke about it all the time. She's the real champion in our family now, and so now that she's married into our family, at least we can say we got that going.
You're like, we are national champions.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
All right, I don't know if you know the drill, but when you come on the show, you get BYU Sports Nation karma.
That's right.
Okay, I can't think of a better time to deliver it than right now, before the Greensboro series.
Let's go.
And then as you push back into West Coast Conference play, you can spread it out over as many games as you like. I don't know if it's as pungent or as effective if you utilize it in
the
multiple
dosage,
games.
Yeah. How many milligrams of karma?
And also the double effect. And I mean, listen, your wife, like national champion, come on.
It's unreal.
Okay, so she's got a little bit of the karma as well. So do your thing, guys. Good luck against Greensboro. We appreciate you being in the studio.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, up next, a rise and shout out to just a bunch of aces. What do we mean by that? Like actual
Las
aces?
Vegas aces?
This is BYU Sports Nation.
BYU Sports Nation is presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere.
Does your dream of home ownership feel impossible? At Mountain America, we want to remind you the dream is alive. We are here to craft a personalized mortgage loan based on your needs. You can live your dream. And now, for a limited time, receive a free appraisal. Our one-on-one guidance and quick application process will bring your dream to life. Reach out to a Mountain America mortgage expert today.
Mark?
Some of my favorite moments are hearing from the family room just a chorus of laughter.
Twas your mother's.
BYU TV has been an escape and a refuge for me. We forgot about random acts.
We love that one.
Today we wanted to do something nice for you.
I see that change on him after that show.
just brightened everybody's day.
I can do this. I want to live my life in a way that show showed me.
He knows that he's different. He knows that things are hard for him.
Taking the leg was how we could save her life.
I think God put the animals in our path, and I think it is up to us to care for them.
It's like dream come true kind of stuff.
Good job, buddy. You've completed her life.
He loves it so much.
There are happy endings to tragic situations.
This portion of BYU Sports Nation is presented by Mountain America, the official credit union of BYU Athletics.
BYU Sports Nation is on demand. Download the free BYU TV and BYU Radio apps or listen to the podcast. Subscribe, rate, and review it.
Our question of the day, centering in on BYU football and the Football Power Index numbers from ESPN. They have BYU projected to win 5 games. So we ask, well, how many games would you favor BYU to win this season? FPI has BYU favored to win 3.
3 whole games.
3.
Congratulations.
Robert
everybody.
Oliver on Twitter says the first 2. I favor BYU in the first 2. I rate Cincinnati, Kansas, West Virginia, and Iowa State toss-ups definite underdogs in the other 6. I deem bowl eligibility iffy. We shall see.
Well, you're not the elite voice of the day, Robert.
Okay, that's true. You are not. The elite voice of the day presented by PAX Healthcare Elevated comes from Tyson Peterson on Facebook, who says,
thanks for waiting.
I see 6 to be favored in.
Whoa.
The first 2, Kansas, Cincinnati, West Virginia, and then Iowa State. The reach for me there is West Virginia. But Kansas, Cincinnati, Iowa State, yeah.
Just because
BYU could be favored
travel?
as 51% winners in all 3 of those games. Could be favored in them, technically speaking.
What's it going to take for us to feel like BYU should be favored in all those? We just need to see how BYU fares in the Big 12. And even then, 1 year is 1 year.
Well, I mean, listen.
I think we need to see 3 to 5 years of BYU in the Big 12, and then we'll be like, okay, we know what we're doing here, and we go from there.
Today's Rise and Shout Out presented by Mountain America, the official credit union of BYU Athletics.
Men's volleyball advancing to the semifinals. Season high 10 aces last night in the quarterfinal win versus Concordia. 5 off the bench for Trent Mosier, which is a career high and the most by any BYU player this season. Get after it tonight against Stanford. Get to the MPSF finals. Maybe an at-large bid. Maybe, should they not win it.
Listen, I credit Taco Bell for Trent Mosier's amazing season.
Oh, yeah, Mosier's got it down.
It's all about Taco Bell and his pregame routine. All right, thanks to today's guests, Kaleb Hayes from BYU football and Cole and Tate Gambill from the Batcats.
Beat Greensboro. Sorry to Dennis Pitter, we ran out of time.
For Jarom, I am Spencer. Shout out to Mark Lyons. See you tonight for BYU baseball. Go Cougs.
What Cody Epps touchdowns?